I'm sitting there and my coworker starts talking about that people who are not vaccinated, they must be killed or life or put in the cage for life. And everybody agreed with him because it was the most disgusting moment in my entire probably life in the US. When everyone agreed with literally fascism. I think it was during the COVID times, and that was when my whole world crashed because I had this ambition that I will go to the United States, I will get my degree, I will become this person of the world. I will live in New York City, or I will be traveling the world, and I will be pursuing my artistic career. I will be pursuing my engineering career, or whatever it will be. I thought of myself as that I will be this free, unleashed person who will just finally embrace her global and very big dreams. Little did I know, 2020 comes and the world turns with its ass towards me, let's say. I realized that New York City is not a place of dream anymore because the people like myself who disagreed with whatever madness was happening would not be able to leave home. My favorite, Italy, went into some absolute terrible regime, not allowing people to leave home because they did not want to participate in a biological experiment. This is what it was. And people around me in the academia also went absolutely nuts. Like they lost their mind. It's how it felt. Because every week I was bringing results, the data to my advisor, to everybody. Like we had group meetings. We were analyzing the data. I took the device, I took the curves, I put them in a PowerPoint, I analyzed them, drew conclusions. Okay? This is fact. Whatever I measured is a fact. We explained the fact. And when these people were telling that it's a fact that it's all safe and good, it's a fact. I'm like, no, it's not a fact. It's not a fact. How can you say that this is a fact? You are a scientist. You deal with it every single day. How does it not come to you clearly right now? What is going on with you? And everyone just went. I saw how their psyche, something very animalistic, robotic, overtook the analytical, overtook the critical thinking. So I watched everything crumble.
I've been listening to your podcast for a while now, and I love the content and the brutal honesty. As an attorney who fought against COVID mandates, I follow a lot of dissenting medical and legal voices and read a lot of great stacks. But your posts and podcasts are amongst my favorite. Thank you for all you do. Legal Glass, thank you so much for that lovely comment, and thank you for subscribing to my Substack. Helgi, hi Ahmed, all the best and lots of love from Iceland. I've been researching all this stuff since around 2009-ish, and I have to say that your podcast is one of the best in the space so far, and I fully support your change to start charging for every episode. I didn't even know that you had a paywall before. If you're ever in Iceland, please come by and visit me in my brewery in Hella. Wow. Well, I hope I do get to visit Iceland, and I'll definitely give you a shout if I come. And Jewel, I believe you're one of the few out there that is not controlled by ego, arrogance, pride, money, or coercion. It is truly humbling to discover how much of our lives are based on lies which we failed to question. And to everyone else who's signed up and become a supporter on Spotify and on Substack, I just want to say thank you so much and welcome. You're part of a wonderful tribe and you keep this show alive, and I'm most grateful. Okay, let's get into the show.
You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack, or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
Let's just do Nastia.
Nastia?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, listen, thanks for joining me. And I just want to say, I love your latest video. I mean, you did give me a heads up. You said, you're going to be uploading something on YouTube. So I watched it, okay? And for something that's only half an hour, and forgive this long introduction, I will let you speak. And for something that, is only half an hour, oh my God, you packed a lot in. Like, it was amazing. So, I mean, it was about self-governance, and you talked about, let me just read it out to you, not seeking any endorsement from any institution, any organization, any authority, and not sourcing your decisions, outsourcing them, not making your decisions based on some authoritative figures that exist within the system. That is what you define as self-governance. And then you said, and that's a negative definition. So let's do a positive definition. And you said, you need to take full responsibility for your own life, your own decisions. And you primarily listen to yourself, animalistic self, and your mental self. And you say, yeah, your mental self is largely determined by your genetics and your upbringing. So we inevitably are a product of the system. But however, when you have analytical system, we can challenge all of the notions and all of the beliefs that we acquire throughout our life. This is when we approach maximum freedom of ourselves, for ourselves, and maximum freedom of thinking. This requires analytical thinking and being able to challenge the mainstream narrative, and maybe not even mainstream narratives, because there are subgroups that are not mainstream but are still pop culture, i.e. controlled opposition, camp 2. And then, you go on, and you talk about cholesterol, you talk about birth, the problems of the medical system, and you talk about standardization of medicine, not treating people as individuals, but like blanket, one size fits all. You talk about dogma, you talk about unwritten contracts, you talk about not surrendering your free will to big media corporations and institutions. You talk about how they say, oh, we care about women, but actually they don't. When they say that, it just goes to show you how little they value you, and that most people are living this inauthentic life. And then look, I just want to say to you, you packed in that 30 minutes, pretty much what I've talked about in 400 podcast episodes. So bravo.
Thank you so much. But imagine I mentioned this metaphor of pressure cooker in that video. This is what happens in my head. So this video, I don't know, I was carrying it in my head for so long. And so I turned on the camera at one night. I was like, I can't hold it back anymore. I'm just turning the camera on and I'm just speaking. I did, I think, 3 edits to the whole video when I was just like, let's move on. So I just cut those things. It was a rare video where I didn't need to cut anything, almost, like besides some hygienic breaks, let's say. So that was literally probably the synopsis of my core values in that video. Suddenly just like went in one organized form. And that was the summary of everything that I had to rebel to find my path, because I was born in Russia, just for cultural context, okay? 90s in Russia, and all I was exposed to growing up was people struggling to be not even happy, be stable, like remotely stable. So I saw people who were highly unstable, who could not manage relationships, who could not manage their health, who could not manage their things related to their work, who could not manage their desires. A lot of people were opting for substances like alcohol, was common in Russia. So they would just, it all appeared to me as highly unauthentic since childhood. I could not understand it. I could not just live with it. And then in terms of womanhood, I was also exposed to so much issues related to female life, living as a female in general, that I also had deep conflict with that. I couldn't understand since like early childhood, since especially during puberty, why do women inherently suffer? Why does nature, according to what I hear from fellow women or older women, why do women become victims, become patients as a result of their natural sexuality, as their nature, like what distinguishes us from men, I guess. So that was something that gave me so much conflict. I was child-free for a long period of time because every time I would hear news that someone got pregnant, went through birth, that I'm like, how did men, knowing what their woman is going to go through, just do it? How do they stay together? And then dawned on me, a lot of people actually end up having problems in intimate life after they give birth because it starts being associated that a woman is this glorified suffering figure, and a man effectively is put in the role of some diminished abuser. Intuitively, it will feel like that because of what woman has to go through. And that's the fame, as I like to say, the fame of Jesus Christ doesn't let people live life, because everyone wants to go through this glorified suffering, it seems like. And women do this too. I read a lot of forums in my child-free era. I was like, what is the mystery? Why do women go for it? Why do women stick with these practices? Why do women go through the system of birth that puts them through so much pain? Why do women struggle in relationships when they're like, I just have to sacrifice for this. I just have to tolerate. All of this just blew my mind. And I was like, how can I find harmony? Because I don't want to live like that. But at the same time, I want to live at peace with my body. I want to live at peace with my nature. But I don't want what society offers me as what it is. So rebellion led me to pursuits of independence in heal, independence in mind, that how can I reformat the topic of relationships? How can I reformat the topic of sexuality? How can I reformat the topic of female unique hormonal system? Topic of childbirth. How can I look forward to that? So all of these things, they came as a result of me not settling for what society was telling. That nonsense, that mass psychosis, how they say, you know. So that video is in essence a summary of a lot of topics that I went through the years. And
Well, there's only one thing I disagree with this video. It's the title. So the title is Self-Governance for Women, How to Stop Being a Slave to the System and Start Living as a Woman. I'd change women for human because it applies to guys as well.
fair. Yeah, fair. I agree with that. Women, I guess, because there is this mystification and deeply misunderstood and deeply not accepted nature of female sexuality. Because I think that male sexuality is kind of on the surface, but with female, the circus begins. Women tend to just commodify themselves. Because, like, historically, it was just commodify, tolerate, and adapt in some weird ways. Instead of going in, instead of listening to yourself, instead of trying to sit on multiple chairs at once, and trying to embrace the unembraceable, and so on. So that's probably why it was women. And also with the development of female movement, you see this like striking thing. When we look at, for example, some feminist protests, right? Who is the voice they are trying to reach? Who is that authority that women are trying to scream at? What is that rage directed towards? This is something that's also very strange to me, because in my opinion, simply boycotting something that you don't like and embracing what you do like and nurturing it is a much more effective strategy than trying to be this childish and inherently suppressed voice, which means that there is authority above you, that you scream at. So that is my conflict too, that there is always this pursuit of authority, even in the protest. Protest is always calling for authority. Why do you need authority? And that is what I see in the feminist movement often.
Well, do you not think the feminist movement was kind of captured? So, like all original, like protest, rebellious events, it's kind of like co-opted and captured by the very establishment and then used against people. So, women have been treated badly over the centuries, and unfairly, and have been deprived of rights and respect, ultimately. They're just seen as people to make babies and have sex with. I'm not saying all cultures and all people, but my wife, for example, reminds me all the time, women have suffered for the ages. But then you had this feminist movement, which was kind of like captured by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds, and they promoted this. Yeah, you should go out and have sex with as many people as you want, and you don't need a man, and you don't need a family, and you don't need any of this stuff. And I think that's been counterproductive. Go outside and go work and be another tax slave. That's what they've created, basically.
Yeah, they doubled the workforce and depreciated the workforce, essentially. So, but it goes hand in hand again with interest of how we acquire resources. That's another theme from that video, that everything we see, every cultural movement will be picked up, will be developed in response to the changing way of acquiring resources and the interests of the economy. That operates in the interests of the corporations, because there is quite the capital is quite monopolized. So that's why we cannot say that even like it's in the interest of small businesses or something like that anymore. So it was a strategy to build a machine where the worth of human is depreciating gradually. So yeah, that had that pushback. But other phenomena with liberation of women, with liberation of our, I guess, sexuality, liberation of female sexuality, that is quite double-sided too, because every time, again, is if you don't act, if you don't study your nature, if you don't unapologetically claim your deepest desires, your deepest wants, if you don't claim the need for safety, if you don't claim the need for emotional security, but you go again and you see authority that's like you need to be a good girl for someone still, or you need to fulfill some plan of what's fashionable in the moment, you are not coming from within your body, you're starting to do different things. And I watched that so much. And with development of adult entertainment industry as well, it started becoming a problem because women now had a standard. There's fashion in that area now. So this seeming sexual liberation ended up again setting a standard, setting a bar, setting a goal, setting it like some repertoire that you need to accomplish in order to be a desirable object. So it's a it's a women it's objectification on so many levels happens regardless if you don't take authority over your life, if you are not coming from within your body. And that is a challenging thing because with high level of anxiety that is also cultivated in the modern world, it probably, I mean, for many decades it's been cultivated. With high level of anxiety, it's really challenging to go back into the body. It's really challenging to hear that subtle voice that whispers from within you, that tells you what it is you need to actually connect with. Because there's so much coming from the outside that seemingly challenges your security, that seemingly challenges your sense of belonging. And feels like you would just die alone, miserable, if you don't chase something in the outside. But in reality, you face emptiness if you don't live from within. And that's like that. Yeah.
Well, I love that. I love that. And, so before we talk about some of your past and vegan, you're a Tantra coach, and Tantra philosophy, I wanted you to talk about that. And because there's so many different, explanations for what it is. But historically, it came out of, India and Buddhist and Hindu teachings. And it's a kind of like a spiritual path. It's meant to be how to focus on consciousness and awareness, using your body, your breath, your energy. There's a bit of ritual and meditation. And it's not primarily about sex, although some people might think it is, but it's about integration of the mind, body, and the spirit, and working with energy. So for you, what does it mean being a Tantra coach? What got you into it? Because you've got a very different background, haven't you? Don't you have like a PhD in something, and you're well in...
Yes,
you had a completely different life. You had a completely different life, and now you're doing something very different. Explain all that.
I'm a physicist, and then I also got PhD in engineering, and I worked as a consultant for an IT company, research software company. So Tantra came to me, probably, if I was to go back, I got certified almost a year ago, and this topic was in the air for many years. I was in therapy while I was in PhD because I just found myself deeply depressed. I think it was during the COVID times, and that was when my whole world crashed, because I had this ambition that I will go to the United States, I will get my degree, I will become this person of the world, I will live in New York City, or I will be traveling the world, and I will be pursuing my artistic career, I will be pursuing my engineering career, or whatever it will be. I thought of myself as that I will be this free, unleashed person who will just finally embrace her global and very big dreams. Little did I know, 2020 comes, and the world turns with its ass towards me, let's say. I realized that New York City is not a place of dream anymore, because the people like myself who disagreed with whatever madness was happening would not be able to leave home. My favorite, Italy, went into some absolute terrible regime, not allowing people to leave home because they did not want to participate in a biological experiment. This is what it was. And people around me in the academia also went absolutely nuts. Like they lost their mind. It's how it felt. Because every week I was bringing results, the data to my advisor, to everybody. Like we had group meetings. We were analyzing the data. I took the device, I took the curves, I put them in a PowerPoint, I analyzed them, drew conclusions. Okay? This is fact. Whatever I measured is a fact. We explained the fact. And when these people were telling that it's a fact that it's all safe and good, it's a fact. I'm like, no, it's not a fact. It's not a fact. How can you say that this is a fact? You are a scientist. You deal with it every single day. How does it not come to you clearly right now? What is going on with you? And everyone just went. I saw how their psyche, something very animalistic, robotic, overtook the analytical, overtook the critical thinking. And so I watched everything crumble. And at some point, yeah, I was like, whenever I was not at work, I was in bed with headphones. Like my eyes were like slowly leaking, and every weekend I was losing sense of getting up and doing anything. And I realized,
because you never got vaccinated, you weren't allowed to come to work. Am I right?
I was allowed to come to work. I barely graduated, so I would not be allowed. I think the regime started on August 1st, 2021, and I graduated. I defended my thesis in July, and I was banned to go to work, but I already got my work offer, so I was kind of overlapping between at work, where we had remote work, and I also got fired from work because of that eventually. And so I had an opportunity for half a year. They allowed us to not be vaccinated working remotely. So I was finishing my thesis. In the meantime, some formalities basically remain. So it's in I think January 1st, 2022, I received an email, or even like earlier, from my institution where I was receiving my degree. So I barely submitted everything, and they're like, oh, you're not allowed on campus, or you're not allowed to work remotely without vaccination. Remotely, you were not allowed to do it. So it was it was pure corruption. It was not for anything at that point. There was no reason.
They're just punishing you now.
Yeah. It was such a nonsense. So that's what I'm saying, that everything related to my career crumbled. All of the places that were supposed to fulfill my dreams showed their other side. And so, yeah, I ended up this like meaning crisis. Decided to go to therapy because I realized I cannot just put my mental health as a burden on my loved one. And I had it started literally affecting other areas of my life. So I went through therapy. My therapist eventually told me about this lady who is a sexologist. She has like huge career in sexology. She's a very big person in Russia. And then she also has this interest in Indian culture, in Tantra. And she actually lived in some temple, in Kamakya temple, where they actually hold on to the Tantric tradition outside of their basically in India there was some process of centralization of spiritual life. They actually had a military uprising in that region against the centralization. They wanted to keep the tradition alive. So she lived in that temple, she got initiated, and she teaches Tantra. I went through this course after several years since then, because what happened was, I went through this COVID nonsense. I managed to stay at my work until for a whole year after they fired me formally. Because they kept delaying it. They were like, oh, you can keep working remotely, filthy. filthy, you just stay remote. And I'm like, okay, I'll stay remote. But I already had plans that I will leave because, I mean, they told me that we will fire you at any point at this point. I'm like, it's disgusting to be in this position. I have a doctorate degree in science, and you are firing me because of something so ridiculous. It's a huge act of disrespect. So I stayed there, and then gathered some funds and quit. Decided to start working my YouTube and stuff. Back then I was into veganism, and I felt like I was in a very good mission. So I was doing exclusively things that I loved. I picked up sewing, clothing design, also another childhood passion of mine. YouTube, sewing, all of these pursuits, super beautiful life. Not needing to go to work and do what I didn't want to do, interfacing with people that I didn't care to interface. Then moved to tropics for a year. And there I realized that I'm still not happy. I still feel empty. Like what's going on with me? Like at that point, when I lived in total paradise doing things that I loved, I still felt like something was off. And I started auditing it. I was like, okay, do you want bigger apartment? Will it make you happy? No. Do you want more money? No, maybe like having like a little bit like more stable financial thing would be more pleasant. Okay. But in general, would it make you happy? No. Would you want a different relationship? No. Would you want different climate? You're in tropics, you're by the seaside. No. What do you want? And I'm like, I don't know what I want, but something is wrong. So I decided to, and then I saw that this lady had her course in Tantra, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. Because her slogan was, if you're effing tired of suffering, you should join. So I went through this course, and it was revolutionary too. Because for the first time in life, I felt like I am the only one responsible for cultivating joy in my life, for cultivating life that I want, for cultivating life that's aligned with my full authentic self. And actually, there were so many discoveries that it's just absolutely fascinating. I didn't even expect it. I just knew that the person was legit, and I went by recommendation, and then I discovered everything that Tantra is, that is kind of contradictory to how it's usually perceived in the society. And I was really amazed with the results, to be honest.
So how does it work? Because the pursuit of happiness is what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be happy, but it's so elusive. And you're right. I've met so many people who are multimillionaires and they're miserable. So while money can make your life easier and better, it doesn't guarantee happiness. Happiness is a tricky one. So, I mean, I've got my ideas about how to be happy, but what have you learned from your teachings and your course and from your own personal experience? Super insightful consultation, and Doc M came into it with an incredible amount of information and support. I really felt he was there to help, that he cared, and that he genuinely wants the best for you. Can't recommend him enough. Thanks again, Doc. From Dave. And folks, if you want to see 40 other reviews, 5-star reviews, just visit my website, docmalik.com, and you can look at in the menu consultations, or go directly to the booking page, docmalik.setmore.com. Book a consultation with me. If you're unsure about how to move forward with a diagnosis, with a treatment plan, or you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you don't trust your doctor, you've had surgeries and pills and you've got side effects, whatever it might be, I can help you. I can act as your advocate. I can help you work the system to your benefit, knowing what questions to ask and to explore options that the mainstream doctors might not have covered with you. Folks, if this resonates with you, please book a consultation with me, and I can't wait to help you.
At first, you were absolutely right in the beginning when I gave the introduction that Tantra is not, I don't want the word pursuit perhaps, but it's establishment of unity between mind, body, your intuition, or spirit. whichever terminology you prefer, it's flexible. So this is this concept of unity. And unity effectively means authenticity. When I'm not acting against my body while I'm pursuing my spirituality, for example. When I'm not making decisions because it's rational to do it, but I will be suffering. I will know that I'm somewhere I am deceiving my genetic predisposition for something. I'm deceiving my emotional makeup. No, we're not doing that. We're pursuing this unity. And then this unity becomes the diagnostic tool partially because, first of all, you need to scan where you are not authentic, where you are changing the scheme in your life, and why. Why is it happening? And on the other hand, Tantra offers the tools for um, calming you down, because we also carry sometimes we cannot achieve this authenticity, this unity between those elements, because we have disorder within each of those systems: body, mind, and intuition. So the first thing that is done in Tantric course is paying attention to health. Literally the most basic earthly worldly things. Do you eat well? Are you well nourished? Do you sleep well? Do you walk? Are you in nature ever? Do you walk? Do you move? This is literally step 0. Because if you can be in therapy, and I had the cases like that, and that's where veganism comes in the picture. If you are malnourished, you spent years malnourishing yourself. Which mental health are we going to talk about? Brain is an incredibly expensive organ. It requires you to be very healthy. Omega-3s are in check. Iron is in check. B vitamins are in check. Then we can speak about neurological health. Protein in check. Fats, you get enough fat. You get enough calories in general. So this is when we can start talking. When people come and they're like on 20 supplements, they're on some fancy diet, like vegan diet, and they struggle with depression, with emotional issues, with brain fog, with all of those things. No therapist will do the trick. Yeah, you can go pacify yourself with antidepressants, but it's masking the issue, masking the problem. Then when we dialed in the physical health, the client, for example, comes to you, you instruct them that, okay, we're not starting from now, we're on a very strict regimen of your prioritizing your sleep, prioritizing good food, prioritizing movement. This is fixed. Then we go on to relaxation, because meet a lot of people. A lot of people don't breathe through their entire body, through their entire column. There is oftentimes there's a nodule in the center near the diaphragm. The diaphragm doesn't push down. They don't breathe with their belly. They hyperventilate. So they have this background anxiety that is from the habit of improper breathing, for example. When were you relaxed fully last time? Many people weren't fully relaxed for many years. So how can they access their most pristine, most embodied state? So the next skill we learn is deep relaxation, calming down the nervous system such that we can see ourselves. Because what do we do in this anxiety when we have monkey brain? Constant flashing, electricity through the body. Where's tantric sex in that? It's down the road. It's very much down the road. First of all, learn to be yourself. Learn to be in your body fully. So we start relaxing. There are practices, wonderful practices, such as yoga nidra, that allow you to sleep, drift to sleep, deep, very nice sleep, or very deep relaxation if you don't fall asleep during it. Those things become regular. Breathing patterns that activate vagus nerve or calm it down, that turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. those things become our habit until we automate those things. Then after we tapped in relaxation, after we built some baseline, how it is to feel good, we start noticing the problem more vividly. We can connect with what is our problem. We start being able to work with the actual issue, because the client usually will bring not that not that I need to deeply relax. They will bring some problem, like, for example, I'm unhappy in my relationship for like 5 years. We've been having these and these and these issues. Or I'm incredibly burnt out at work. I cannot keep up with my career. I don't know what to do. I'm very scared. Financial issues, pressure, la 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 la. So person is also in this pressure cooker. And you start tapping into their issue now. Start unfolding and unwrapping it. How can we work with it? We do visualization meditation. And compared to conventional psychotherapy, where a person just talks, Tantra allows tools to go kind of around psychological defenses, where we can go into meditation and work directly with the imagery. Because sometimes people cannot put their ideas, their thoughts in the verbal form. Sometimes it's easier to work with imagery and senses. So when in therapy, a person is instructed to describe what they're feeling, describe their issues. Sometimes there is some prohibition for certain words. Sometimes a person cannot communicate it clearly. Therapist needs to unravel it very, very gradually. In Tantra, we can go into the world of images, and the world of images kind of allows people to just see it for face value. Like, suddenly, I see my problem. So in meditation, we can access that. And then we can work with it on the imagery plane. For example, there was a fascinating case of a woman struggling with infertility. And physically, she was healthy. That's a common issue. Sometimes there's psychogenic infertility. All of a sudden, doctors say that everything's fine. Ovulation happens, for example. Conception doesn't. And she went through therapy, and then she went to Tantra coach. And in the meditation, she visualized it as there is a desired thing surrounded by the fortress. So for her, this like act of desired pregnancy, or the process of desired pregnancy, was behind the fortress. It was protected by this monolithic wall. And so what was done is that she was guided to walk around it and not force it, not jump over it, not like break this wall, but try to find how she could go through this wall, how she could make the door appear. And so she was working on her issue in the space of imagery that was totally seemingly unrelated to anything with the body, anything with pregnancy. She just was working with some barrier that existed in her. And she visualized it as a fortress. And there are many ways how people come up, in my practice, people come up with very interesting associations, very interesting imagery for their problems. And then it's a psychophysical space. We're working literally with how our brain conceptualizes the process that happen in our psychophysical space, which means that they can be manipulated with very metaphysical, perhaps not realistic tools that we wouldn't be using in the physical world. But since it's all mental space, we have an ability to work on them with any transmutation you want. But you just come with some authentic method of undoing certain barrier, of opening your own doors, of removing that cloud, of outgrowing something. You can grow bigger, you can grow stronger, you can grow softer. And this reflects on your body immediately. And you, from this image, you suddenly access the state in which the problem doesn't exist. And you memorize it. You memorize it. You're familiar with it right away. And because it's such a vivid impression, you're in meditation. It's a vivid impression. Anytime you remember, you sit to drink tea, you like remember the state. You immerse yourself in it. you face the problem that's the recurring behavioral problem in your life, you remember the state and you're like, oh, and you act differently because you now have remembered. It's very strong imprint. And then there are also practices that are for reconceptualizing, rewiring your impression of some traumatic events. There are practices that allow you to access the full repertoire of your personality, because cliche image, I'm a boss girl. I come from work, I cannot stop. I'm a boss girl. I'm wired up. I cannot relax, I cannot give in, I cannot just enjoy my meals. No, I will be enjoying my food. I'm not going to enjoy them. I will be rushing them like boss girl. I will be kicking ass. And are you exercising everything you're capable of? Or are you stuck in your role that prevents you from enjoying your life? Maybe if you discover multiple roles, multiple facets of your personality, maybe you will be able to explore life with more pleasure. Maybe you will be more inside of the experiences that life throws at you. That's another stream of work in Tantra. And that creates a huge foundation for a person, because the more resources you have, the more stable you are, the calmer you are. So it creates this perpetuation of your habit of living in a stable, very comfortable state, being able to relax. Because when you're trying to solve any problem from a weird misfit state, you are not going to succeed. It will create a lot of tension, a lot of barrier. Like if I regress into a child when I need to solve a business problem, no, I probably won't succeed. I probably will just break down crying. It's not gonna work. But if I'm lady boss in bed with my lover, probably also is not gonna work. And the opposite situation, if I start being flirty and playful at work, perhaps I also won't get things done necessarily. So managing those things, keeping them under control, knowing your full repertoire, is also very empowering tool that we learn. And that is done through it's a very meticulous work in which a coach will demand a person to fully exhaust to make a fully exhaustive list of all the personas, all of the facets that they possess, including things that are kind of yucky for them. We also tap into that. Shadow concept. The concept of shadow, the concept of what's good, what's bad. In Tantra, the interesting thing is that we flip this hierarchy of bad, shameful, or this is desirable, I will never be here, like this is some your mom's best friend daughter, and I will never be this, and this is something normal for me. We flip this hierarchy into horizontal thing, just tools. And this is also very interesting and funny work when I work with clients on that, because when you flip this hierarchy, suddenly, like you objected some female archetype, for example, some dirty, let's say some dirty prostitute, how my client described it. She's sitting smoking on the curb. She's like, ugh, so rude. She cusses, and I don't know why men even go to this. This is how my client was describing this archetype. And that was something that she felt objection towards. And I said, how can we functionalize it? People go for it. She's alive. She's alive, and she kind of got into your field of attention. What can we get from this archetype? Let's also functionalize it such that we remove this hierarchy, in which, when we have hierarchy, we allow others to judge ourselves as well, because we put ourselves in this hierarchy. When we judge someone, it's a sign that we live in this vertical thing. When there's someone above us, someone beneath us, flip it. Let's just see everything as tools, everything just living in its own place. But that's another stream of work. And then there are more elaborate already things that we can tap into. I just want to let you speak because I think I occupied the mic
Yeah,
for
I'm listening,
eternity.
and I don't want to speak over you. It's just so layered. I mean, the thing is, the thing you started with, Nastia, I can't agree more with you. The health. If you're sick, if you're on alcohol, drinking alcohol, if you need a coffee to function in the morning, you're already not in your natural state. And I say to people, the biggest con in our life is, we go to school, we sit there with people our age for 6-7 hours, learning God knows what, stuff that's not even relevant to our lives. Then we go and work until we're 65, 70, and then we die, after 2-3 years of retirement and pension. And it's like, what is this life all about? But, in that year that we've got of working, we go away on holiday for 2 weeks. We walk on the beach barefoot with the water, lapping against our feet. And, we feel great. We eat lovely, healthy food. We're in the sunshine. We're outside in nature. And we feel amazing. And then we come back to work.
Yeah.
And actually, those 2 weeks aren't amazing. It's just that's our natural state. And the other 50 weeks in the year, we're in an unnatural state. Hyper stressed, cortisol through the roof, our sympathetic system on overdrive, our adrenals burning out, and we're miserable and unhappy, and we're doing a job 9 to 5 to pay off our student debts and our loans and our mortgage, and we're not really happy. And we might be with someone that we don't really love, and we're just there because we don't want to be alone, or it's financially too difficult to live on your own, but the thing is, true authenticity is what that 2 week on holiday is like. It's bliss and happiness. And imagine you felt that every single day throughout the year, like you're on holiday. That is our natural state. And imagine that's what your happiness is like. And so I get it. Like, how can you do any work on anyone when they're physically not healthy? And it's the basics, like you said: sleep, just eat well, drink good water, stay away from drugs and toxins and SSRIs that literally just numb you and stop you feeling anything, happiness or sadness. But then also, when you're talking about the different layers of Tantra, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I almost feel like some of it is the spell casting. So words today, we don't learn the root of the words, the etymology of where the words come from. But so many words are cast like spells that keep us in this captive mindset and subservient mindset. Like, do you understand? You're underneath, you understand, or the government, you're governing your mind, or all these kind of things. So our thoughts and perceptions become the words, and our words cast spells. They are powerful. And if we use the right words, we create our reality. We shape our reality. That's what we are all about. We are reality generators. So it's really important that we have the right intentions and the right words. We say the right things, because that's how we shape our reality around us. And maybe with the Tantra coaching, you're getting people to think a reality that is optimal rather than negative for them, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Actually, said the spell. Yeah, every word is a spell, and especially the words that are pronounced with emotional load. Because, I mean, if someone just radioing something monotonously, you probably won't be picking up certain things, unless something just rings with your current need or current issue. You probably won't be picking up words. But if something is said with a lot of weight, this is what I hear a lot. People get very caught talking about, they wouldn't word, for example, they're not feeling well today. They will not say that they are somewhat unwell, which is, to me, the declaration that I love myself. I love myself, and there is something that's not too well. Usually it's well. Today it's not so much well, perhaps. Everyone can wake up like tired, or something happens. Somebody sneezed at someone, and the next day they're like maybe hypochondriac about it. But when people push I like to call it S word, SICK. They push it with emotion that they feel SICK. and they feel so much passion to it. And to me, this is the sign that you assign the identity to yourself. I assign this negative identity because this comes from the place of full agreement and passion for you. You agree with it so much with what you're pronouncing right now that it charges up all of your feelings. And I just hear it said all the time, like people declare things when they're complaining. I call it also scare blessings. I want to just, sometimes when people are complaining and nagging over and over and over about some issues, I just want to tap them on the shoulder and be like, stop scaring blessing. Like, if you believe in God, let God love you back. Why are you declaring all these things? Why are you hypnotizing everyone? Because it works also not just in spiritual plane. From very practical thing, I call it creating a verbal portrait of yourself. People are memorizing you for what you're saying.
Absolutely.
So people will be looking at you. They will, you know how we like to categorize things. We like to describe something, like create some shell definition of things. So if person said something like 5 times with a lot of passion, you will be like, okay, this is Bob. Bob with money issues. You will think that way. Okay, this is Bob with money issues. I put them in my library list that. Then this is Kathy with headaches. This is headache Kathy. She has headaches every day. So this is how brain will categorize. So when you see the person, it pulls primarily from your internal library. It's not no longer waits for the new input from this person. It already pulls the stereotype about this person. And so you look at them with like, well, tell me about your headache, I guess. Or how is your wallet doing today? As empty as yesterday. Like, so you set this expectation, and this becomes a mirror. You create a mirror by generating this verbal portrait. People start mirroring that before you know it, because brain loves automations. It's not going to waste a bit of energy to relearn new thing about you. It will create automation about you of some person. Some person will create an automation about you. So it's you need to be responsible for what verbal portrait you build, what state portrait you build.
Absolutely. And what do you think of this? I think the universe always listens. The universe always answers. But the thing is, what we put out to the universe can be very conflicting and confusing. So for example, if you say, I want to have more, I want to have money. I want to have money. Oh, please, universe, give me money. I need money. I want money. What you're actually telling is that you don't have money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're telling. You're saying, I don't have money. So
I'm a desperate, miserable person. Yeah, who needs money?
I'm a desperate, miserable person. I have no money. So the universe goes, okay, you've got no money then. And it's like, or I want to be happy. And then what the body is hearing is, you're not happy. Okay, you're not happy, then you're not going to be happy. So you need to get past that, and you need to be truly grateful. You need to imagine yourself in the state that you want to be in and feel it like it's actually there. And then the body and the universe will respond in kind. So you don't say, I want to be happy. You say, I am happy. I am grateful and I'm happy for being who I am and for my life. And then the body will respond in kind, and the universe will respond in kind. I think that's one of the things I've kind of learned. I don't know if that sounds too woo-woo to you.
It's what I want to actually extract from this is that you make the first step. As you said, I'm happy. You need to feel that state first. The universe is not there. It's not apparent. Universe is just, again, what is universe? For us, universe is the energy mirror, in essence, which is composed of what we are seeing as opportunities in life, and what people see in us that we pick on, like as mirror to mirror. So we show up first always. We bring to the world what we value the most. I am happy is when it's from the authentic state. You're no longer looking at universe to give you anything. You're just showing it how to reflect you. So you came first with this you came first with this feeling. This is where you take responsibility. Yes, that's what actually my discovery in Tantra was. I take responsibility. I claim my truth. Because it is scary sometimes. It is scary. For example, it's like, oh, my whole thing was that I felt like I was my mom's project my entire life. Like my mom wanted me to go to another country. My mom wanted me to pursue certain career that would enable my success and so on. And I had an idea that I need to be an artist. Is my thing. Pursue more artistic things. I want to be a clothing designer, an artist, but I ended up in very hardcore science. So I always felt like I was my mom's project, and I was supposed to be supposed to be an artist on whoever. And I realized that I never claimed what I wanted. Like I never claimed. I always looked for approval. I never made the first step to show that I am on the path. No, I always was hiding. I was like, okay, if engineering doesn't work, I will tell that I'm more of an artist. If artistry doesn't work, if my artistic pursuits don't work, I will say that I'm an engineer. So I never claimed it. And I never took responsibility, and I always had expectations that somebody will notice, somebody will approve, like some parent will come, some good parent. I had this like bad parent, cruel parent who pushed me to do this, but some better parent will come and will tell me that now you can do it. No. The moment you leave parental home, you're on your own. And that was the illusion that I had to shed, that it's a claim it. Claim it. You want to be a Tantra coach? You don't need anyone to approve it. You want to do it, claim it and do it.
Absolutely.
Scary. The same with yeah.
I was gonna say, so like where did the veganism come in? So I know you had some acne issues, and then to me, acne is your gut telling you it's not happy, and the gut brain axis, the gut immune axis is huge. Did you find going vegan helped with your acne, and then why did you leave veganism?
I would say that veganism was not the vegan is veganism. It was raw veganism specifically, because I was plant-based for years before. I went to the US and I found that plant-based eating is a thing, because in Russia I was eating pretty good diet. I mean, very complete, but with some junk food, probably with some sweets, with mayonnaise and stuff. So I went to America and I realized that there's Whole Foods. I can buy organic foods and eat the beautiful, delicious things. Started kind of flirting with Mediterranean diet, whole grains, fish, poultry, beans and stuff. And acne was not the main thing probably that was bothering me. It was migraines. And also my joints started kind of hurting. And it was all on plant-based diet. But while on plant-based diet, I never liked any vegan influencers online. I never related to them because I didn't like how they looked. I didn't like their messaging. I don't know. I cannot empathize with vegans. I cannot. The only person that I loved online was Marcus Rothkranz, and he was raw vegan. I felt so related to him and his girlfriend. I binged watched his stuff. For example, I would be at night in the lab. My device would be running some tests or something, and in the meantime would have like my YouTube playing. So I watched his videos for a couple of years, and it was very convincing. Raw veganism was much more convincing than veganism. And I designed a diet that was complete, such that it fulfills all amino acid needs, vitamins, minerals with surplus, supplemented B12, vitamin D, and for the first time in life, I was without migraines. That was a huge salvation for me, because I had migraines since childhood. And twice a year, when I was a teenager, my parents would give me, through the doctor, would give me like injections. I would take like 3 injections a day for a couple of weeks or for a month, twice a year. I would be off migraines. The injection stopped, the next day I have migraines. On raw veganism, I witnessed the miracle. So, what was it? I did not think about meat. I thought about the grain elimination later. So grains to me were the problem, the major thing. Grains and starches. So I was raw vegan for 3 years, but then exhaustion, I guess I was on very low, not low, a little bit lower suboptimal methionine levels. Consumption, and methionine is important for retention of normal collagen, bone mass. It basically regulates homocysteine. And vegans usually suffer from homocysteine being elevated. It's a proven thing statistically, that's what happens. And vegans usually have lower methionine in the blood as well. So I'm assuming that that was the problem among others, but then I conducted the whole study afterwards. But what I noticed that by the end of veganism is that I had an injury for the first time in my life. I was always stretching like crazy, doing acrobatics easily. This time, like by the end of veganism, I did a squat and I stretched something in my hip and it wouldn't heal. 7 months, it was not healing. And my skin started turning into absolute nonsense too. I would talk to my dad, whose face and body I inherited. My dad is 20 years older. He looks absolutely brilliant. Thick skin, looks younger than his age, and he smokes his entire life. And I looked older than him. Like some weirdness was in my face. And so this visible deterioration scared me a lot. It was depressing me so much. I would like walk by the mirror not recognizing myself. And the injury not healing also. I was always very empowered in my body. I was very comfortable with my body. I knew that I could do anything. I could do any circus I wanted without any consequences. And this time, 7 months from a squat? What's going on? So one day I just got so desperate and I quit because there was nothing I could do. Blood work was showing that I had elevated parathyroid hormone, which is vitamin D not being metabolized. Vitamin D requires cholesterol to get into your bloodstream, so it's inevitable that you need it. So I was not metabolizing vitamin D. Later I realized that I was not metabolizing B12 from pills either, which requires animal fats and requires protein, adequate amino acid profile. And also I tended to have high iron with low ferritin. So I also was not metabolizing iron. So it was specifically not some like supplements, it was cofactors for nutrients that were missing. And also I was eating tremendous amount of fiber because I was on low sugar, high fat, high greens, high bitter greens, raw vegan diet. So probably fiber flushing out everything along the way too was not helping either. And I quit, went animal based, and I'm very happy. I don't need grains still. When I eat starches or grains, I get headaches again because they cause water retention, I assume.
So you're animal based now. You're like an omnivore.
Yeah, but minus grains. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the grains as well, so many of them are sprayed with things like glyphosate, even the stuff that they say is organic. I don't know if it is. A lot of it is GMO. You just don't know how these things have been made. They've been sprayed with insecticide and pesticide, and it's just full of toxins. That's what I think. And I don't know. I think for a lot of people, getting the ideal diet is so difficult. You know, they experiment with things like, raw milk and then, off the grains or, vegan or vegetarian or purely carnivore. I've got a friend who was purely carnivore. That made her sick. She realized it wasn't actually in the long run good for either. In the beginning, these kind of diets can help because if you go vegan or carnivore, you're kind of eliminating a lot of rubbish, like the mayonnaise is full of seed oils. So you get rid of all the seed oils, you get rid of all this. So yeah, obviously you feel a little bit better. But then in the long run, I don't think physiologically we were designed to be like that. We're designed to be omnivores. And the funny thing is, we're the only animal species on the planet who has a problem with the diet. A bear never goes, what should I eat today? Should I be vegan or should I have meat? Or a lion never thinks hard about what they're going to eat. Or a cow. They know, they all eat what they're designed to eat. Whereas human beings, we've got so confused and messed up. And it's like, that's why I think a lot of us get sick. But we need to get back to some kind of ancestral diet, I think, and away from this ultra processed and spraying all this garbage. But it all comes back to your original video that I was talking about, that you covered so many topics. Ultimately, the system is dispassionate, it's cold, it's unemotional, and it's driven by profit. That's all it cares about. we are on planet human farm, where
Mhm.
we are farmed. We're farmed, and the sicker we get, the better, because they can profit from our sickness. The sicker we are, the better, because then we can't resist our overlords, the farm owners, and we can't get our freedom back. So they like that. They like us being sick. And one of the ways of keeping us sick, back to, you said Tantra, how you make people happy and everything, is being physically and, healthy and strong. If you're physically healthy and strong and robust, then mentally you're physically strong. And it all comes back to food. Food is the most important thing. So that's what I found anyway on my journey. I used to be diabetic, hypertensive. I've been through med school, and here I was at 40, overweight, sick, unhealthy. And the doctors are all telling me, my friends, my colleagues are all telling me, oh, take metformin, take a blood pressure medication, take this drug, take that drug. And I'm thinking, this cannot be right. Why is the solution to everything just a pill? Anyway, I've turned it around now. Thank goodness.
Nice.
But
Congratulations.
thank you. One of the things I found most powerful was actually limiting the eating window. So, this idea of have a little bit of food frequently is complete nonsense. I've gone to just literally one meal a day, and it's just changed my life. It's driven down the insulin. I feel less inflammatory. I don't get bloating anymore. I don't have that water retention. It's quite remarkable. But there's no money to be made in getting people to eat less. That's the problem.
Yeah. It's focusing. I don't know. It's like you focus on those things, on those people who are trying to make money. Not even people, anonymous organizations. Let's word it this way, because it's always you are an individual, and then there's an anonymous blob that you cannot do anything with. That's why it's such a powerful thing in the West when people just form a company and you become untouchable. That's a very strong kind of split of responsibility. That happens, and people don't acknowledge that. They think that because they're an individual, they're dealing with something with any soul or any concept, humane concept. But no, morals exist only for individuals. Everything else is regulated by different laws. Yeah, but focusing on that is not something I would say that would give you proper decisions, perhaps, because I remember a lot of people would go from veganism to some other extreme diets to like following total conspiracy about nutrition. And I remember it actually was pretty funny how some people would quit veganism and they'll be like, they are forcing us to be vegan, blah, blah, blah. That's why I'm going to do the opposite. And I'm like, no, let's go from the other place. Let's listen to ourselves still. Let's go back to ourselves. Yeah, it can be a good starting point to think about that. Yeah, there is some entity that wants me to do this and this, but why do I give an F what this entity wants me or not doesn't want me to do? It's my life, ultimately. It's just different focus that I like to put. And it's confusing indeed as what to eat. And women especially struggle so much. There's so much stress around food that this stress becomes a huge contributing factor to their deterioration over the nutritional qualities of food. When they need, for example, when they learn that, oh, saturated fat and cholesterol is bad, so I need to be full, I need to eat some grass, and they eat grass, and grass doesn't make them full, or makes them full but not satisfied. But they're avoiding what they really want, what their body really craves, because that's what's in the books, so to speak. And they end up malnourished because they're not coming from the place within. They're afraid to claim their internal desire because it's said somewhere that it is bad to follow this desire. Eat grass instead. Eat this broccoli. Eat this like stalk of broccoli. Girl, go girl, and you'll be thin. And then they struggle with hormonal issues as a result. And stress goes up because I am in permanent conflict, whether I realize it or not. I'm in permanent conflict with what my body really wants and what I'm doing. And that habit perpetuates the stress, and your body screams at you louder and louder and louder, please give me what I need. Hello?
Yeah, I was going to say that when you're a raw vegan, oh my God, that sounds like hell to me. Eating just raw vegan. I'm sorry for everyone out there who's raw vegan, but I love food too much. I love flavor. I love warm stuff. I love meat. I love steak. I had cote de boeuf last night on my barbecue. It's delicious. So yeah, I don't know. Did you enjoy when you were eating raw vegan, or were you just used to it? I mean, when you look back now, do you think, oh my God, how did I like that?
I enjoy it. I still crave something. Actually, I should tell you that apple cider vinegar and coconut aminos or soy sauce, they go a long way. But
Okay.
I I really love, still to this day, I prefer raw foods over cooked. It's actually something that's stuck with me, and I don't like too cooked meat either anymore. I actually prefer meat on the raw side, even meat, because
Yeah,
one of the
same with
challenge.
me. Rare. I love it. I just love it. Charged on the outside and rare. So that's how I cook it. It's just perfect. Yeah. Folks, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. This podcast survives because of listeners like you. If you want to hear the second half of this podcast, then please consider becoming a paid subscriber to continue supporting independent conversations. And if you want personalized support for your own health or those of your loved ones, then book a consultation. It's available at docmalik.com. Thanks for being part of this journey. I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts, and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations, and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence, and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm, or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.